What's up, Steel? Cool. What kind of what style are you working on? Are you 3D printing, making them out of foam? What's your approach? After my own heart. Now the real question, how many are you gonna make? I always make too many and it takes me forever. Glad I have them, but it's also can take a lot of time. Cool. Make it 100? Probably a good idea. All right. There we are. All right, let's make something. Let's make something already. So late in the day. So we're looking at 221, left-hand side of the page. So we'll go to the left-hand. Let's see what we have to kick us off. Into the book, 57. 57, thick as thieves. Thick as thieves. Can't go wrong with that. So many different ways to run with it. Hey, Duckling Draws. Trying to draw your first ever campaign ever. Currently designing a dungeon. I hope they discover soon. So cool, but hard. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Especially the first few times you do it. Sometimes it helps me, may not help everybody, but sometimes it helps me to think about just what you need for the next session. You probably don't even need the whole dungeon design, but just that first room that they're going to experience. Obviously, you'll want to design more later, but then you'll know more. Let's see here. Thick as thieves. Well, heists, Ocean's 11, gang of thieves, typically going to go for bigger crimes than an individual thief. Could do a thieves guild. Of course, thick as thieves is also one of those things that like isn't even really an idea because, you know, yeah, they're close, let's say. Can you really trust all the other thieves all the time? Maybe you can. Maybe that's sort of the unwritten rule. But really, it's the phrase, I think, is just supposed to suggest a bond, a closeness between a group of people. It's like, oh, they're thick as thieves. So really, it's about bonds. We could run with that idea. What what keeps a group together. Could be a guild, could be other adventurers, could be treasure hunters. Okay, I've got something. I've got something we can work with. All of that meandering, and I think I've landed on something that, you know, something fun, something different. Okay. It's not up to us. We'd rather not steal the construct. Mischievousness, but, you know, they're in the thick of it. Duckling is the daily encounter for just keeping imagination going and to keep being creative, or for a certain campaign. It's definitely not for a certain campaign. It's certainly, it's an exercise, and what I like about it is that oftentimes we discover stuff that, like, I want to use. And for me, it's helped me sort of uncover a way to use tables that works for me. I've never used tables really before, and maybe it's because I wasn't writing them, or because they weren't structured in a certain way. But now I really enjoy using them. So yeah, we just kind of see where the ideas take us. So most days I end up getting surprised with what we come up with when you actually roll the two tables together. We'd rather not steal the capital medallion, the Ember Flame. I'm going to say Champion's Medallion, because I like that idea. It's not up to us. We'd rather. I'm gonna throw a wrinkle. We'd rather not steal the show tonight. Because why can't something else be stolen? The hearts and minds, yeah, exactly. We'd rather not. We'd rather not steal the king's self-portrait. The river, the mountain, the Evervoid. It's not up to us. We'd rather not steal I mean, I like the idea of a flame, because that's more than just a treasure. That feels like something. It's like, well, if they take it, now they've got to keep it lit. We'll just... I like that idea. We'd rather not steal the first prize at the carnival. How do you steal an idea? It's not up to us. We'd rather not steal the inventor's plans, maybe? We've got an idea, we've got something sort of magic, we've got a piece of art, got something not quite the same, we've got some sort of treasure. Ooh. Firstborn. See, you went hat, I went children. It's just where brainstorming can take us, you know. We'd rather not steal the what if it was vague enough that it could be like a... Yeah, I like blueprints. I would consider that like the latest, the inventor's design for sure. What's a good way to phrase? It could be like a creature's child, like a baby. Maybe it's a baby. I'd rather not steal the firstborn. Yeah, whatever. The idea's in there. We'll see how it shakes out. Let's see. What do we want? Do we want a wagon? Do we want a ship? Boat or otherwise? Horse, maybe? Listen, it's not up to us. We'd rather not steal the last good dream. How about the last memory you have? Last good memory you have. Maybe just the last good memory. If we're gonna go pet or animal or creature, it's got to be a prized something. I'd rather not steal the show, like a show horse, maybe. which is good because I know nothing about that at all. Okay. That gives us a place to start. It's not up to us. Okay, it's not up to us. We'd rather not steal the whatever, but our buyer needs it to blank. To finish the Clockwork King. Okay. I can work with that. I'm going to make it, though, the Clockwork Replacement. Give us a little bit of flexibility. And see, just that idea of a clockwork replacement, that'd be fun to think about for a bit. To calm the feral beasts. Let's think about here. What's a good road to go down for what these things are? I mean, these are probably to enrage, to calm, or to enrage, to balance, to maintain peace. How about to maintain peace? I think this list, this second list, is really, if you could spend money on it, you probably should. I think that's what, if we were to reprompt this second list, it's like, hey, finish the clockwork replacement. If we can spend money to solve that problem, we should. Maintain peace, spend the money, get the thing done. To set the Ever Void on Everfire forever. I mean, if you could spend money to seal away, let's see, what would it be? To see, how about, you know what? To seal off the void. I look forward to figuring out how to square that circle, but that's 5 minutes from now's Ryan's problem. It's not up to us. We'd rather not steal the champion's medallion. We'd rather not steal the show tonight. We'd rather not steal the king's self-portrait. But our buyer needs it to finish the clockwork replacement, to maintain peace, to seal off the void, to repair, to rebuild. Passerine can be really cruel. It's true. I assume that's just Crane saying hi. Always. Always. Spend it at all costs. We need to it's for like it's for their kid's birthday. Our buyer needs it to our buyer needs it to, how about complete their collection? I was trying to think of something about maybe like returning to rightful owners. Let's say return to the rightful owner. I'm also gonna say to needs it to consume. You know, let's just see what that does. Gain respect, master the craft. Finish the clockwork replacement, maintain peace, seal off the void, gift to their kid, complete their collection, return to the rightful owner, consume it. I mean, certainly to maybe let's predict the future. We are on Saturday, back half of February already. Yeah, I don't know why YouTube's been this way. I mean, I don't think it's anything on my end, but I've definitely, since the past couple days, people have been mentioning that. It's a bummer. Hey, maybe they're in the midst of some upgrades. Wouldn't that be a treat? 7-3. It's not up to us. We'd rather not steal the last good memory, but our buyer needs it to seal off the void. Wow. Or I just have to implement a secondary chat. That way we can all get back to business. So, okay. In order to hey Andy. Of course. So this is a 5-year diary that I had sitting around, and so what we do every day is try to come up with something that we could theoretically use for D&D that can fit on these lines. And what it's usually breaking down to is basically 2 tables that we roll on. So in this case, using the inspiration phrase thick as thieves, we created 2 tables. The first one's on the left, the second one's on the right on the on-screen text. And now that we've kind of come up with everything, this isn't tied to a campaign. This is kind of just a brainstorming process to kind of see what we come up with. It's usually surprising. A lot of times I'm finding stuff that I want to use even to like kick off a campaign. And then now that we've got them written, I'm going to roll on and get some combinations. So we're just going to see what we came up with. So if we read the left-hand sentence, it's not up to us. We'd rather not steal the... I rolled a 7. So we'd rather not steal the last good memory. So probably some thieves are explaining this to the party. And then on the right-hand side, but our buyer needs it, this last good memory, and I rolled a 3 in order to seal off the void. So this is a really good example of an idea that I never would have come up with without something like this. The sealing of the void requires sacrificing a town. Like, listen, we can't save it. We can't save it, but if it all goes in, we can end it there. So it's not up to us. We'd rather not steal everyone's last memory of this place, but the whole thing's got to go, and it's never going to exist. That's how we save the world, is we sacrifice this one location. Would the party help or prevent that from happening would be an interesting question at the very least. It's not up to us. We'd rather not steal the firstborn. Uh-oh. But our buyer needs it to maintain peace. Firstborn to maintain peace. A marriage between 2 groups that don't, you've got the capital city, some big name, you've got the druids. And let's just say the druids aren't too happy that their first, maybe it's like the first, taking like a Zelda inspiration, it's like the first male, the firstborn male in generations, and it's being raised in the city away from, like, it's a contentious thing. And so some thieves are hired that's like, listen, we're not only going to steal this firstborn, we're going to swap them out. We're going to swap them out with another kid. That manticore baby is going to be very influential. You could go that way too. But just as I say that, like, what an interesting concept. Either at the heart of a story, could be connected to players. I could see some sort of like split 2-player campaign even, where like switched at birth on purpose so that like the druids know that they're raising the legitimate heir, and then in the city is the illegitimate, like, where was this child stolen from? Who knows? But like kind of discovering one another. I guess it'd be more interesting if they were siblings. They'd have a connection that way, but it's not up to us. Let's see, get another. We'd rather not steal the show tonight. Listen, we don't want to steal the show, but we've been paid. Our buyer needs us to in order to complete their collection. Okay. Listen, stealing the show, we know it's not right, and the Bard has worked really hard on this show, and it's getting rave reviews. But unless we steal the show, unless we tank this performance tonight, our buyer isn't going to have another trophy, isn't going to have another successful year on stage. They're not going to be able to fill their shelves with yet another award. So we're very sorry, but we're here to wreck it. Uh, 5 and 8. 5 and 8 works. It's not up to us. We'd rather not steal the inventor's latest, freshest, hottest design, but our buyer needs it to predict the future. Yes, the inventor's been working on this a long time. They don't even know what they've made. That's one of those like classic tropes. Like the inventor thinks that they're making something to like, speed up this process, but they don't realize that if we can reconfigure it ever so slightly, like this thing's not going to see the stars. This thing is going to predict the stars. And yeah, so it's a shame, but we're going to need that. We're leaving with it, the thieves say. Sometimes it's fun to imagine moral situations for a party where it's a choice, like, do you stop the thieves or do you allow the thieves to take what they took? And either way, it puts them on sort of one side or another of a sort of a hostile situation. It could be a fun way to kick off an arc, I think. An 8 and a 4. It's not up to us. We'd rather not steal the winning show horse, but our buyer needs it to gift it to their kid. Well, needs it. As much as a kid needs a show horse, but hey, thieves got to get work in this economy. Andy, have I ever ruined my own campaign? You had a full campaign planned where your players scavenged through a spellcaster's tower, and when they reached the second floor, each of them died by one ghoul. I really don't know how. Well, in that case, it's because there are some undead creatures in D&D that are, I think, dramatically mislabeled, right? Like they seem to be, the ghoul potentially is one. I know like a shadow or a shade or different. They're just different creatures where it's like, oh, this should be good for this level, and it's like this could go bad. Some of them are surprisingly difficult. But that doesn't mean that your campaign's ruined necessarily. It just means that your campaign changes, right? So the full campaign was, if you have a lot invested, if you have an idea that's all about, and the players fell, guess what? Turns out that this was the prequel story. This is the motivation, because all of their kids band together years down the road to find out why their parents perished in that tower, right? And they gather what they have, and they're probably not super experienced, but they're going to figure it out. And lucky for them, their parents are haunting the place and can help them along, right? Like this is almost like the tower's changed. Maybe things are harder or easier, but they've got these helpful hauntings to sort of help them through. So sometimes you just have to pivot a little bit. That said, you could drop it, leave it, or you could jump much further into the future, or, something like that. But just, build it into the lore. Whatever you're doing, just say, okay, actually that that was interesting. Now, the thing though is the thing that I would recommend is you want to make sure that it doesn't feel retconny, which is a weird word to say. You don't want to make it feel like a reaction. Obviously, it is a reaction. You're reacting to what happened, but it won't be narratively satisfying if the next weekend in like the timeline of your story, you know, the kids come searching. Let some time pass. Let the weight of their failure sort of hit. Like nobody that they know, nobody that those characters know should have any idea what happened to them. And really lean into that. Tell the story, right? Say, days go by, weeks go by, you know, the tower is abandoned, or perhaps, you know, the tower churns on like nothing happened. They're forgotten about in the bowels of the tower. And their friends and family wonder. They send out search parties and letters, and years go by, right? Because it may take that long for the spirits of these heroes who fell in the tower to muster up enough strength to get a single message out. And maybe that message that they get out is like a single recurring nightmare. And and their loved ones, when they finally talk after many years, they say, no, I've had that nightmare too. And they realize like, hey, we're having this, like, you saw them in a tower, I saw them in a tower. And it bothers them for long enough that they then, you know, maybe it's been 30 years since let it have an effect, and let whatever you were originally building toward develop, so that this becomes like a new sort of chapter on the story that you wouldn't have had a chance to tell before if the party hadn't fallen then. So, but in answer to your question, have I ever ruined my own campaigns? Just like what we experienced here, temporarily, just for a minute. And then you go, okay, all right, I'm over it. How do we pivot? How do we make this into something new? Well, thank you. But I mean, it's practice, right? And what I have experienced, and what I think is part of what you're experiencing, is sort of the there's a, how'd I describe this? There's a narrative mourning you go through, because you build some ideas up in your head and then they kind of go away. And everybody's creative instinct is to try to say, no, how do I stop that? No, how do I, that's where retcons come from, retroactive continuity change, right? Like I want to somehow correct things. And I think that's super natural. And I think that period of mourning is important to experience. Sometimes you should sleep on it, you know, put a day in between whatever happened and the next. The same thing goes for players when they lose a character or something, right? Give it a day and then come back and say, okay, that's not what I expected to happen. But that's also really awesome, because this is sort of, D&D is sort of collaborative storytelling. So what you have now is an opportunity that you never would have given yourself. You said it. How did they die to a single ghoul in the tower? They were so strong, and yet that happened. It's a writing. It's sort of it's a writing challenge, right? And if we were writing a book, you might have just said, oh, well, that doesn't make any sense. I'll tear that page out and start over. But since we're collaborating and working on something together, I think even if all that happens is you move on to another part of your world with a new character group and another adventure that excites you, I think you should let that history of that tower remain and let those characters be part of now the legend of that place, and just let it kind of develop that character and showcase it going forward. Because it can be tough to see things. Like I said, there's a reason I use it creatively. It's like narrative. It's a mourning process to watch things that you've built up in your head or that you've worked so hard on kind of fall to pieces. But But that's what Construct said is true. It's forced improv, and you'll get better. It's like tearing down a muscle, and then it gets stronger afterward, and then you'll find new ideas that you wouldn't have had otherwise. Should I hit the button on that one? In more direct answer to the question of have I ever ruined my campaigns before, I mean, there was one campaign that I deliberately ended because I just didn't feel like the dynamic was right. And that was probably the right call. I was pretty early at this. I've given my players the tools to ruin a campaign. That's another scary one to do. I just gave the party just retrieved an item that allows them to look into the future, and they collectively didn't use it, but the person who put it in their pack and they traveled on, I've given them the option to, at any time they want, peer into the future, and the game will continue on until such a time they say, okay, I'm done looking into the future. Anything could happen, right? They could change 10 sessions of play, I guess. They could break the game completely, but the experience of having the power like that and what that player is going to be thinking about as they play the game, like that's why we play D&D, right? Is to have the chance to break it. And I think the reason that your players play D&D is to experience failure as much as success, as much as it may bother players. Like if they just wanted success, they could write their own stories, right? But they want it to feel real, and you just got evidence for them, whether they've experienced it before or not at the table. You just showed all of them that you're willing to let them fail, which is really, really good. And yeah, you just keep playing. Just keep going. I can't use either of those numbers. I can use the 6. Can't use double 6s though. Can't use an 8. Wow, have I just been buzzing through these? Get a low number. Like a 4? Like a 4. Construct is right. My prep sessions are called Preparing to Fail. Try to always think of a couple of different outcomes. And one of those should be, what if the party just cannot succeed? A 4 and a 6. It's not up to us. We'd rather not steal the Eternal Flame, but our buyer needs it to return to its rightful owner. Oh, okay. Easy. The flame was stolen from an archfiend, right? And so it's like, hey, we're just returning it to its rightful owner. It's like, yeah, that like ceaseless hell flame, who was the original owner? Maybe we don't want to return that to its original owner. Maybe it's good to keep that one in the royal vaults. What do we have? We have 1 and 3. 1 and 3 and 1 and 7. Well, hey, thanks for the great question, Andy. Hopefully we'll catch you again sometime. Good luck with your campaign, whatever happens. It's not up to us. We'd rather not steal the champion's medallion. The champion just got that medallion. However, our buyer needs it to consume it. Trying to think of a way that the buyer is not some sort of monster that eats treasure. Or perhaps it's another fiend of sorts. I almost think it's some sort of like a wild fey creature. Like I could imagine a fey that like, listen, you know, how do fey function? How do they work? Well, they, you know, do they breathe water, breathe air, drink water? Like fey could switch that around, I guess. But yeah, couldn't they? Yes, they need to eat, but What if it's like a fey dragon that's like, listen, I only need to eat every 100 years or something like that, but I have to eat something that's so unique. And the champion's medallion is something that's existed and is literally gifted to one warrior at a time. You know, the fey dragon is angry, wants one good feast before it hibernates again. It's not up to us. We'd rather not steal the king's self-portrait. These are the last 2 numbers I have, but our buyer needs it in order to finish the clockwork replacement. Somehow, the last 2 ideas left fit so perfectly. We need the king's self-portrait because our buyer is building a clockwork replacement for the king. And here's where I would twist it if it were me, because it's like, oh, la-di-da, gonna replace the king, huh? What an idea. You know what? Let's just lock down. We'll keep the king safe, and let's if we know that that's what they're doing, then we don't need. And it's like, wait, whoever told you that we were replacing the king? It's like, what do you mean? You're getting the king's portrait? Yeah, the king's painter. We've made the clockwork replacement, and now we've trained it on all of its artwork. This was the last one, and it can reproduce it. So now we have the fake painter to replace. Crane, you're just in time, because I don't have to write anything else down. That does fit really well. That's a good one. That ended up being really fun. What a steal. What's up, Harry? Where are you trying to go? Oh, because there's here. He's batting it. The little bookmark tassels. Crane's decided those are his now. I don't know. All of our animals are like mutts. Like, we don't know much about them. I'm sure Ashley would. I don't. Gray. Short hair. Yeah. I don't know cat breeds anyway, but Crane's a cat that chose us. So. Anyway, cool stuff. So that one's in the books, and I'm going to change gears and see if I can finish. I've got the last 2 tiles, and I've got some fresh spackle to fill in the cracks. So I'm going to switch the stream over to that, see if I can't get that done. And tonight at 9, I still need to pick a video game to play, because I'm done with Tunic. It's in the rearview mirror. Tunic is gone. I still haven't decided yet. See a construct. Harry, your cat's more of a dice goblin. Stores them under the washing machine. He's found a secure vault. That's all he did, right? Or your cat has found a place that no one will disturb the dice. Anyway, there's a Discord link for anybody who is not in there already, and as that shows up, also toss in link to the zine. Have I played The Long Dark? I have not. Should throw that in the there's a recommendations channel now in the R&D section of the Discord. I try to collect all of that stuff. So I always look in there to see. Try to find something that's maybe a little bit more, strategy, action kind of stuff, because I just spent the last 15 weeks playing a puzzle game. So we'll see. I'll figure something out. Maybe I'll keep chatting about it and thinking about it for another couple hours here while I craft. So see you guys on this stream in a minute. It should redirect everybody over to the crafting stream. See you in a minute. Oh, there's Crane. Just with one last little bugging out the camera because he can. All right, switching over.